right, we'll call the meeting back to order. Item number 1, under new business, consideration of the approval of Resolution 2023-036, encouraging support for small businesses. So we have before us a resolution, and the title really says it all. It's encouraging support for small businesses within the village, particularly within our downtown. This originated with the Downtown Development Authority Board, on which I sit, and frankly, it was in response to not only the legal conflict between the Holly Hotel and the owner of the lot on which Arcade Antiques sat, but also, and more importantly, some public calls for the boycotting of our downtown businesses, which I certainly don't believe benefits our community in any way. For us not to be, taking our money and putting it towards our local businesses. So this is a resolution to work with local business associations such as the DDA and the Chamber of Commerce to promote and facilitate campaigns for shopping locally. So with that being said, what is the pleasure of council?
Your Chamber of Commerce Director makes the motion.
I second it.
Right. Motion by Kinnaman to adopt the resolution. Support, I think Ms. Kyer had it, I think. Council discussion. Is there any discussion desired?
Yeah, what are we doing? We're going to make a resolution that says we support small businesses.
Yes, essentially. And there is a little bit of action in there. It's I'm looking for an adequate synonym for resolution. It's resolving to partner, for the village to partner with the DDA, the Chamber of Commerce, etc., to launch actual promotions and I suppose public information campaigns about the benefits of shopping and dining locally.
In what way can council do an act to support that? Other than lip service? Sorry, I don't say that to be rude. I fully support small businesses and want to. I'm just not certain what action it is we'll be taking or how.
Yeah. I suppose if you have a public information campaign, there will be materials, print and digital. This is just off the top of my head.
So this is stuff that goes on the village website, or stuff that the council says at meetings to the public, or?
Maybe Mr. Klump can explain a little bit further.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Klemp, would you share with us?
Mr. Klemp, what can we do to serve you? And when I ask this, I'm asking the pragmatics, like what will I be doing to help?
Yeah, so this is basically, this resolution, we're asking the township for the same. The DDA passed one last night. This is basically just to show solidarity within our municipalities, that we're supporting our downtown, we're supporting small business, we're supporting all of the local shops that we have. What I will do with that then is I will take those resolutions, I'm going to write articles for our local papers, do social media type posts, just showing that we have that solidarity going forward and that we support our small businesses and encouraging others to do the same. So really this is just, your part in this is just showing that togetherness as we move forward in helping our businesses. Then I will take it then and do the action steps with it.
Thank you. If there's anything we can do, let us know.
Thanks. Any further discussion desired? No. Or any further questions?
I believe between now and Christmas, there's at least 2 Shop Small type programs that go on. One of them is kind of a national Shop Small Day, and the county has joined with that for a couple of years now and does some other things to kind of a county-wide drawing per se, that people who shop in a small business kind of take a picture of the receipt and upload it to the county website, where it's where they draw one every so often. And we have had some local businesses as well as individuals who have won those in the past. Pigeon in a Parlor one was either a $500 or a $1,000 winner of one of those a couple of years ago. And then I think another business in town won one as well another year. And so there are larger promotions that as a community, take advantage of those. Both Nick and I promote those things. Shop Small is one big one. What's the other one that was my neighborhood or my Buy Nearby is Michigan Retailers Association endeavor to actually do what this resolution is talking about. Things that you can shop local for, do that, especially with the holiday season coming up. We have a lot of businesses in our community, not just in downtown, but also out in the township area that are great places to find wonderful items to give as Christmas gifts, or birthdays, or anniversaries, or new homes, or,
Sweetest Day's coming up this month.
Sweetest Day. So lots of opportunities to personally be involved.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment desired on this item? Yes, Ms. Wallace.
Angela Wallace, 709 Bear Street. I don't have a copy of the resolution in front of me because I can't bring it up on my phone. It keeps saying that there's an internal error on the website. So my question is, I heard downtown and I heard township. I hear nothing about midtown or uptown. And those businesses are consistently and constantly being left out of everything that is being done downtown. I'm not saying that's on purpose, it's just something that tends to happen. So will this resolution also enhance our businesses uptown and midtown? I don't know because I can't bring it up, so I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
Because we need to focus on those as well.
That's certainly my understanding, and the
Yeah.
language of the resolution, I think, is appropriately broad to
Okay.
encompass all of
Because I
those.
can't bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My concern with that was because I do know, and I'm looking forward to it, is the Harry Potter thing. That was specifically only meant for downtown. And the midtown and the uptown were told they couldn't have anything in it, which I don't think is quite fair unless it's not put on by our people, by, the DDA, or by, Mr. Kinnaman with his things. But if it was put on by the village, they should be included in that too. And I'm not sure how that is, I don't
Yeah.
know.
The Harry
really-
Potter one was
Yeah.
specifically,
For the
a couple of
alley.
businesses actually submitted the request for the event.
For the event.
So
yeah.
it's their own event.
Okay, so DDA has nothing to do with the Harry Potter thing. That's what you're telling me right now.
I'm not sure if I'd use this term,
Okay.
nothing,
Okay,
because I'm not involved
But
with
if our
that, but I
DDA is
do
involved?
I do know that, well, there's other things that night, as far as I know, too.
and Friday night? I don't think so. I think it's just a Harry Potter thing. But if there is, I'd like to know what it is.
Okay.
But I'd like Mr. Klump to address that,
Yep.
that if the DDA is involved in that, that should include uptown and midtown businesses, not just the alley or just the downtown.
You wanna
Thank you,
look
ma'am.
at the resolution?
I'll bring it up later. I just Yeah, I can't bring it up because
Mr. DeSessa, I believe you had your hand raised.
I'm Bill DeSessa, 5100 East Town Road. Yeah, obviously we all want to support local businesses, but my question, I don't have the resolution either, is I heard public service campaign, which could be great, but I don't hear the cost of it, so that might be a concern to me. If we don't know the cost, is it already covered? If not, who's paying for it and how much? Public service campaign could be local to Holly, it could be Oakland County, it could be Flint. I mean, it could get expensive is my point, and I don't know if we know those details.
Mr. Clem, am I correct in assuming that that is coming out of DDA budget? Yes. Yeah, okay, thanks.
In this,
Anyone else report comment on this item? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Kyer.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 2, under new business, consideration of the approval of council action request to accept the recommendation of the Ethics Committee to take no action on 2 ethics complaints that were brought to the committee's attention. Ms. Kyer, you're the chair of that committee. Would you like to introduce this, please?
Yes, basically, we had 2 issues brought before us. For the Ethics Committee, we voted to take no action on them based on the evidence provided by Mr. Gildner. It's our recommendation that council vote to take no action as well.
All right. What is the pleasure of council before we discuss?
I would like to make a motion to accept the consideration of the approval of the council action request to, oh, am I repeating myself?
There isn't one.
Of taking no action.
Actually, if we say we won't take action, do we leave that?
Yeah, so, I mean, taking no action is taking no action, right? So you can make a motion to take no action, or you can take no action.
I'm going home. I'm not making a
Does it-
motion.
I think,
I've
well,
retracted
okay,
the
all
motion that I
right,
started
so
to
I
say.
just want to say this on as far as procedure. And I know it might seem a little silly at first, but number
Sorry.
1, it does make the intention of this body more clear, even though it seems a little redundant to take an action to take no action. But it also opens it up for discussion if discussion is desired by council.
It is on record.
Yep.
So now do you want to make a motion to take?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request of the Ethics Committee to take no action.
I'll second it.
Motion by Brandon, support by Kinnaman to take no action. Council discussion. I do want to say one thing on the record, because I want to be very clear about this. One of the complaints was regarding a potential conflict of interest by a council member, Mr. Harrington, who was asked to print signs for the Holly Municipal Center on Grange Hall Road, which he did because that's what he does for a living. I just wanted to say that I do not believe that there was any wrongdoing intended whatsoever on Mr. Harrington's part, and he certainly has my full faith and confidence, and I believe him to be a man of exceptional character and integrity. Any other comments on that?
I think there's notes too about, some type, and I can't remember exactly how Mr. Gilner worded it. but
Well, there are
it's-
2 complaints.
Right.
The second complaint was filed against a commission member. That would be
Yes.
Commissioner Everly
Yes.
from the Planning Commission regarding an attempt to sway Mr. Harrington's vote by working together with Supervisor Cullis to offer him that business. And the conclusion of the committee was simply that there was no conclusive evidence that there was that kind of conspiracy. Now, of course, this is the kind of thing that we really need to be careful about, isn't it? We really need to be cautious, right, that we're not using our positions to, unduly sway people, and especially, and this really is the very definition of a conflict of interest, we need to make sure that we are not potentially standing to benefit, particularly financially, from any decision that we make as members of council.
In the very last paragraph.
Right. But that's a sort of a word to the wise for the future. Is that correct, Mr. Gildner?
Well, that, I think, is the touchstone of conflict of interest is, there can be lots of different definitions of it, but I think at its most basic, it's you can't benefit financially from your role as council members.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion desired on that?
Was your question answered, Ms. Musgrave? Okay.
Is there any public comment desired on this item? Ms. Mattson?
Anna Mattson, 15091 Western Valley. This is the second time I've heard your attorney say that there's many definitions of conflict of interest, but this is what I believe it is. Your ethics policy tells you what the definition is. So that is the only definition that you should care about. So I'm going to read it to you because this has come up numerous times. Not because I think that there's an ethics violation here, but I think you need to be crystal clear what your definition is. It says, no village official or appointee shall use or attempt to use his or her official position to secure, request, or unreasonably grant any special consideration, privilege, exemption, advantage, contract, or preferential treatment for himself, herself, or others, beyond that which is available to every other citizen. That is the only definition of conflict of interest you should care about. That's it. Anytime this comes up in the future, I don't care what your personal definition is. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mattson. And thank you, digital Ms. Mattson. Anyone else for public comment on this item? Mr. Cullis.
Well, I guess because you made a motion and you wanted to discuss it a second time, I feel the need to clarify a couple of things. When we talk about these ethics violations, Mr. Harrington and I have been doing business since 2018. As a township supervisor, I have two people in town that do signs, Mr. Harrington and Joe at Calypso Signs. I got a price from Mr. Harrington, because remember, I'm in charge of taxpayer dollars too. I got a price from Mr. Harrington. I went to Joe at Calypso Sign, who is the original maker of the signs on that property. Joe looked at the price I had and he said, for the temporary sign, I can't touch that, get it from him. But Joe will probably he'll get the permanent signs once we get to that point. That being said, since 2018, I've been buying signs from Mr. Harrington for the Chamber of Commerce. Started out with the Dickens Festival, through the Chamber, through Hyatt. I know there's several people in this town that got campaigns signs through him. There's graduation signs. He's a businessman in this town. But if we're going to look at it that way, then let's remember, Mr. Perkins has also painted my house and many houses of many people in this town. And we do business with him. He's also painted the township office. He made quite a bit of money off of that project. Ms. Musgrave?
But to be clear, Mr. Perkins has not taken a vote for people to have houses.
He didn't take a vote for people to have signs. I'm just saying, in this town, we're a small town. I've had Debbie's done work for me both through the sign flags and through the other ones. We do business with each other. You just passed a resolution to do business local. That's what that was. It was nothing more. It was $216 for 2 8-foot signs to put out there in front of the building that says future home. That's all it was. And I know Ms. Kyer had issues with who brought these charges forward. I know you said you didn't. She made it very crystal clear that she didn't, and yet they came from somewhere. Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cullis. Anyone else for public comment on this item? Mr. Mattson.
Brian Mattson, 15091 Western Valley. I was quite appalled at that ethics meeting, to be quite honest. I feel as though the ethics committee was weaponized in some regard. Mr. Harrington, I'm proud to have you on our council, and I'm very proud that you made a vote and still participated in discussion with the building in and around all of this nonsense that happened. Amber had to start out that meeting stating that she needed to understand why her name was on it for the one who brought the complaints and why they were here, that she had made no such claim. I then watched Mr. Walker state and argue, and at a point say that regardless, because she had some understanding of what happened, she had a responsibility to bring it, or she herself could be an ethics violation issue. It gets me really fired up when there's documents in the packet that very clearly state that, Mr. Delaney, I understand your concern with the sign. You brought that in that situation. And Mr. Walker was the one that brought the reason to investigate against Ms. Everly. How could Mr. Walker sit there and criticize Ms. Amber for pushing back as to why we're here and what we're discussing, knowing this circumstance? That should upset you all. That to me is unbelievable. I mean, it's just, Ms. Kyer, I want to compliment you. You led that ethics committee with composure, professionalism. You recused yourself when it was about you. That was a very big moment, and I think you did that wonderfully. And even tonight, when giving your synopsis, you excluded all of that, those ill things or negative things out of that. But I think something needs to be said. It really appeared to be politically driven to possibly sway or skew votes on this building. That's how it appeared to me. Where was that same fire, urgency, and passion among staff for ethics complaints brought when Ms. Barnes brought them? My wife brought some just a couple months ago, and half of what she had delivered wasn't even addressed in the ethics complaints. She presented 6 things, 3 of them were discussed. The 3 that were left out were the ones that were really the meat and potatoes of what was the possible violation, of course. I fought very hard to be on the Village Planning Commission. I could stand up here and not agree with Miss Everly or be her biggest enemy up and say it was deserved. It wasn't. Hearing what it was, there was simply something that may have been said that was somewhat construed in a way. I mean, it went like it was a telephone game. It went 3 or 4 people down the line before it was brought to the ethics. There was nothing they could even say as to what it was that Miss Everly had supposed said to someone. I fully respect and support Miss Everly in her position, no matter her delivery, how she says, what she says. She is intelligent, and that should not have been brought against her, because I do not believe she has ever done anything to put the village in an ethical position, a bad ethical position. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mattson. Is there anyone else for public comment on this item? Before we proceed to a vote on this, I do want to make one more clarification because I think it's very important. I did not bring any ethics complaint to the village. In fact, I was unaware of the township's business with Mr. Harrington until Mr. Harrington himself brought it to my attention and asked my advice on it after he had thought about it, and he was very right to do that. I said, I have my opinion on that, but I'm going to consult with our village attorney, who is the expert in such things, before I give any advice, and that is precisely what I did. In short, I did my job. And for some people to suggest that there was some sort of nefarious attempt to sway the vote on the village office location because I did my job and fielded council members' questions and rendered an opinion, an informed opinion about that potential conflict of interest, that somehow there was something nefarious or manipulative, there is quite simply absurd. And it certainly doesn't encourage a whole lot of honesty and transparency and accountability, if that's how we're going to proceed. I did not know how Mr. Harrington would vote on the village office location. He never discussed it with me. And as far as I know, he didn't discuss it with anyone, because I certainly did not hear. Is that accurate, Mr. Harrington? I certainly did not hear how Mr. Harrington would vote. So I just want to make that absolutely clear, what happened and why with regard to those complaints. Is there any further discussion before we proceed to a vote?
I think there's one thing that comes into play that's different. Although Mr. Cullis has done business with Mr. Harrington for several years, the difference being that Mr. Harrington is a council member that's going to make that decision to vote either way. That's the difference. That's, there's nothing wrong with Mr. Cullis and Mr. Harrington doing business, if that's the case. He's not voting on one of their issues. Mr. Harrington is voting on an issue here. But I'm sure that was just, unfortunately, a decision that wasn't maybe thought about or recognized. So I wouldn't think he would intentionally do something like that.
No.
I ran a sign shop for 20 years. I've sold to many people in Holly. I have a lot of people that appreciate my work, and I'm a very credible businessman. And if I can't sell signs, I was appointed to this board and I will resign. That's how I feel.
I don't think it's a point of you not being able to sell signs. I think it's a point of the issue at hand. Because you're making a decision on something that impacted you making a sign for profit. That's the difference.
That's the way you looked at it.
It's not the fact that you can't sell signs.
And that's the way you looked at it.
Well, that's what I was saying.
I think to be fair to Mr. Harrington, the problem was, at least in my opinion, is it was a preemptive thing because Mr. Harrington had never voted in favor of one or the other. So unless and until he did, there's no ethics violation. As has been explained many times, as long as a conflict of interest is disclosed, it is not an ethics violation. So,
Correct.
just to support you a little bit on, those are the facts of the facts.
And I wasn't not
Right.
supporting.
Right, I
it.
understand
I'm
where
just-
you were trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to point out.
Where we could
the
get
difference.
into dangerous water,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
treading lightly.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned at the Ethics Committee, and I'll mention it again, that when there's a conflict or a potential or a perception of a conflict of interest, that we can manage or hopefully resolve it with transparency, and I hope that council finds that to be the case here.
And when I thought that that was clearly obvious and people would think that, I was going to withdraw from the vote. And I offered to do that. The Ethics Committee decided that there was no violation. So I voted. Realizing that my vote may look a little sus, but I voted with my mind and my heart.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
I'm sorry, I don't remember what the motion is.
The motion was to take no action.
Okay,
Take no
I
action.
made that motion.
Your motion.
I feel like it.
Perkins.
Yes.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 3, under new business, special event, Halloween. This, of course, is an event that we, and specifically the Village of Holly Parks, puts on every year. Typically, this would be under consent agenda, but because we are so close, within a month to the date of that event, October 28th, it had to go under new business. So what is the pleasure of council on this item?
I'll make the motion that we approve the special event of Halloween.
I'll support.
Motion by Musgrave, support by Harrington, to approve the special event Halloween. Is there any council discussion desired on this item?
I would just like to point out, since I am on the Parks Committee, and this is a Parks and a DDA, I think the DDA is involved with this, aren't you? We'll throw you in. Just as a reminder to people, it will be from 3 to 6 p.m. on October 28th. We will have free donuts, free cider. That has been donated by, or taken care of, I should say, by Windelmeyer Furniture. The Legion, the VFW, both have sponsored wagon rides for the kids. And we're going to have costume contests, and it's just going to be a fun day for the kids. Free. That's always important.
Is there any public comment desired on this item? All right, Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes. I was yawning.
Harrington.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Reports. Mr. Walker is not present with us this evening. Mr. Gilder, do you have anything for us?
Nothing.
No, nothing tonight. Ms. Bigger, do you have anything to add to your written report?
No, nothing to add to my written report tonight.
Nothing to add. Boards and commissions and council comments. Ms. Kyer.
I feel like we kind of already went over ethics, finance, and parks. So.
Very good. Mr. Kinnaman.
Planning Commission met, and we approved a special land use permit for an Airbnb on Railroad Street. And the Chamber of Commerce has a car show scheduled for this weekend out at Mount Holly. It does look like rain, and we are reviewing a rescheduled date.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When's the Airbnb scheduled to open?
They don't tell us that. That's not part of our...
Just curious.
Madam President Pro Tem.
Mr. Narsh, Chief Narsh, were you so inclined to tell everyone about the Clemens Emergency Public Safety radio system that's on here?
I can. It's in the report, but I can talk about it a little bit.
Oh, only if you wanted to. I thought it was like some good, nice, positive news for the public to hear about our safer schools and stuff. Please don't take that as an order. You can tell me to just kick rocks.
Look, it even fits me. The coolest thing about it's free. Well, nothing's ever free, right? So we have had a police and fire public radio system years and years ago. Every police department and fire department had to buy their own and operate independently. Back around 2006 or 7, Oakland County decided to use the 911 surcharge fee, which is about $1.15 per device. So if you have a landline, cell phone, everybody pays into that surcharge fee. They engaged the Oakland County Police Chiefs Association and said, what can we do? And the Fire Chiefs Association, what can we do with this funds? And we agreed a radio system that would save all of us money. That Open Sky radio system served us well from 2007 until, well, it's still in play right now. Our fire department is still using it. However, we ran into problems. It was manufactured instead of like an off-the-shelf, and it had some intrinsic issues with it. Inside of buildings, inside of a lot of steel or structure, including our high schools, all of our school buildings, we had very poor reception. And for $250,000, you could buy a booster system. Well, that's not going to work. This new system has been under investigation through Motorola for about probably 5 years. It's called the P25 system. It gives us better interoperability. Under the old system, we couldn't speak with our neighbors. If you're a edge of county department such as us, now we can speak to just about anybody in the state and go on to the, it's called the MPSC, the Michigan State Police Communication System, and we can jump on there and talk to just about anybody. So it's extremely good for us because our partners quite often are the Michigan State Police. Sometimes we're in Grand Blanc, quite often Fenton. We're going to be working closer with Fenton for backup services. We can communicate with them. But most importantly, our officers and staff can talk from inside of buildings, and that was dangerous before because we couldn't communicate with an officer inside a building, and if they had a problem, the schools had to actually create another little radio system to communicate back to the desk to call dispatch to get more officers. And this system is going to improve that, and we're one of the beta test agencies, so we've been using it for about 2 weeks now. So it seems to be working really well. And so that's a good thing because it provides increased communications and it didn't add to the budget in any way.
You said this is through Clemis?
Clemis, yeah, it's through the Clemis Radio Committee, the Clemis Consortium, which is the court's law enforcement information management system. It's been around since the 60s. We're the oldest fusion platform with public safety agencies in the state, and it has a lot of advantages.
You have your inmate locators and things like that, don't they?
Yep, everything,
Court.
yep. Yep. Is that Nick getting ready again? I am a small business, Nick, I am. Be good to me. But, so it's a blessing, and thank you for bringing that up, and it does improve communications.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief Narch. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the extra amount of safety it brings to the schools, and that'll be all for my comment.
Mr. Perkins.
I get credit for that, Steve.
Just thoughts and prayers to everything that's going on out there in the world, and other than that, I have none.
Ms. Musgrave.
Community development has been discussed thoroughly, so I think everybody's on board with that, so nothing more to add.
Mr. Harrington.
I would like to get it out that I'm the HIA liaison, and they have a really good fundraiser going on right now, and it only lasts until the 23rd of this month. So, I mean, we're limited in weeks here. If you buy, you can buy any denomination of gift certificate or certificates to Texas Roadhouse, and with it you get a free appetizer, and that's a heck of a deal. You can get a $5 gift certificate, and it brings you in there and you get a free appetizer.
And where do you buy these?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
You buy it from HIA.
Okay.
HIA is selling them. They have it. I have a sales kit too.
Okay.
I can sell you one if you need to.
So, and how much are they?
You
Whatever
can buy any
denomination
denomination you want. If you buy a $5 denomination, and you get
Free appetizer.
free appetizer.
All right.
And
And now.
I should say that 10% of the proceeds go to Haya. So you're helping Haya.
Very good, very good.
That's the most important part.
I have nothing except to say thank you very much to our council and to our staff for hanging in there through another long meeting. I did my best. Happy Halloween, everyone. Meeting adjourned.